counting?
What?
We counting off?
5,
4,
3,
2,
1.
1.
Blast off.
Welcome to the Kings of Chaos podcast. Many of you may not know, but Al and I have actually not known each other for that long. We only met maybe, 7 months ago?
Yeah, it was back in February.
Back in February. But meanwhile, we got, relatively close. We started this podcast together. But one of the things is every time, I would go on dates during the summer, Al would always give me some interesting advice, which would always be, don't do what I would do. So I wanted to start off this episode by asking you, Al, what would you do?
Right now, avoid the question.
All right.
Yeah, there you go.
Thing, but
Of course you would.
So can we segue into our guest first of all? And
we
then we'll get
can
back there.
segue
Okay,
into our
perfect.
guest, yes.
All right.
So yeah, because I don't want our guests to feel unwelcomed and unloved. So I want to introduce everyone to Bev Mitelman, who is the...
Hi, Bev.
Hey, Bev.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
She is the founder and owner of Securely Loved, and she is a attachment and relationship practitioner. So a really interesting little thing as well. Bev trained under Adam's favorite guru,
Thais
Thais
Gibson.
Gibson.
Really? She's your favorite?
I love the personal
Yeah,
development.
she is amazing. Yeah.
She is brilliant.
Yeah.
And I'm honored to have learned from her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know that about
No,
her.
Al and I both stumbled onto her a couple years ago in different ways, but yeah.
No,
I even took a course.
Now, Bev introduced
Oh,
I
Bev introduced you.
2 years ago, I introduced him to Thais. Yeah.
See?
He
That's
didn't
something Al
remember
would
that.
do that I wouldn't do. But
Anyways, I love that you're taking those courses.
yes.
Super helpful.
Yeah, they were great.
Yeah. So we look forward to having Bev here. Welcome.
Thanks.
And so bad dating advice.
So you're still not going to tell me what you would do?
What I would do, yeah. Actually, I like to think I only give good advice.
Well, we'll see, I guess. Tonight,
Right?
'cause
Exactly.
once
We go through
this list.
everything. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I guess what are we looking at? We're discussing why unsolicited relationship advice is not such a good thing.
Yeah.
Who gives it?
Everybody. No, the problem is everyone wants to give their unsolicited opinion on everything. I see it on social media forums. Everyone's an expert. There's forums out there, first of all, that, I'm not going to mention the specific forums where that's the purpose, is for people to engage in dialogue. That's great. But I've noticed even in some Facebook groups, for example, someone posts, and I'm going to call it up, the stupidest of questions in the first place. It's like, you really need to make this for the whole world to see. It's so basic. And then everyone has an opinion on this. And it's just, I don't know whether people need to feel good or validated or think they're experts on everything.
Well, what are those opinions based on?
Their own experience.
Biases.
Unless they happen to be an expert in the field. And even there, as we know from some experts, it's a little inside joke. That's all I'm going to say.
As long as you're
This
not referencing me.
No, but you know the story.
I do know
told you
the story.
so
Okay.
no.
All right.
And even there, not every expert really knows what they're talking about.
True.
But the reality is, and remember, we are not experts.
We are not
We're not
experts.
Bev is an expert.
Bev is an expert.
I just lost my train of thought.
She's here to help us today.
Exactly, and we need
We're
some
off to a good start.
and we need some,
Yes.
and we need some serious help. But no, what I was going to say, it's based on people's own experiences, it's based on their own biases, it's
Yeah.
based on their own prejudices, and so on and so forth. And so the problem is, when it comes to dating advice, I don't know a single person who's not had at least a single bad dating experience. And I'm going to put it out there that if you date enough, you've had a multitude of bad dating experiences. And so because of that,
Based on what, though? Your own pattern.
your own pattern.
Of course.
Right? And so based on that, you are now going to give out some really shitty dating advice. So here's a question for the
Because
two
you
of you.
haven't checked in with yourself yet. So,
No.
yeah, that would actually not help anyone.
Do you think men and women give the same bad dating advice? Like, do you think bad dating advice is universal, or do you think there are some differences based on gender?
I don't think it's gender-based, actually. So I think that the type of advice would be different. But I think we have to back up here, right? Because dating advice is so broad. So what are we talking about in terms of dating? Because we all know that dating means something different to everyone. So dating could mean I'm just looking for casual companionship. I just want casual sex. I want a long-term relationship. I'm dating to find someone to have children with. Like, this is all very different. So when you talk about advice that people give you, I think it really largely depends on where you've sort of positioned yourself, right? Because the type of advice I would get if I say to someone, I'm just looking for a good time,
Al, can I
versus,
position you? No,
right? It's
I'm not allowed
different,
to
right?
position you here.
What?
What position would that be?
I, I set myself up for that
You
one.
did set yourself up for that one.
I'm
Want
going
to talk
to.
about knights in their suits of armor?
That's in the big
but
balls. No, I'm
exactly.
not going to go there.
No.
No, I was going to position Al as someone. Let's focus on Al for a moment
Yeah.
and say that Al is someone who is seeking a nice, calm, pleasant relationship that he can ease into over time and build from there. He's not looking for anything casual in this episode, and
I'm glad we specified.
in this episode, and we'll just use that as the premise for what we're going to do today. So I think if we can, we'll stay on that. Not casual. We're looking for an
We're
actual
looking
solid
for an actual
relationship.
relationship. Yeah, I think it's kind of the middle ground with
I
everything.
love that.
But even with that, I think there's a lot of bad dating advice
For sure.
that can come out from there, and that can transcend the other elements as well.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure. Okay, I'm glad we grounded it.
Yeah, but that's why I go back to. I'm not suggesting that it's completely different, but I'm just saying, do men give different types of advice than women?
Can I preface
are there
this?
overlap? Yeah.
Yeah, because so you have those alpha male sites as an example, right? So you go to those sites and here these guys are giving certain advice based on being an alpha male. And then what happens if you go to a beta male site that's based on different experience, or a sigma male site, an incel,
That's a whole
very different,
other,
right?
dimension.
So I think men give experience based on how they envision themselves, whether they are that or not, from what I've seen. Women's an interesting thing, though. I find because of the way there are obviously certain differences between men and women, even when you watch kids fighting, right? Yeah. But I grew up in
I skipped health class from grades 4 to 8.
I grew up in a family of all boys. I've literally been to dinner many times with a family of all girls, and I asked the dad, I'm like, what's the difference? He goes, well, boys fight and it's over very quickly.
Yeah.
And then women, it's like character assassination, right? Afterwards. And that's one of the ways they fight, right? Because they're not going to do it physically. So even, amongst friends where they're supposed to be friends and being supportive and all that, does that not, come in sometimes if there's jealousy and they see their friend has a really good relationship? Do some of them not actually give really bad advice because they almost want them to be knocked down a peg?
Really?
And then lose that relationship and then they get the friend back. So that's one of the things I look at when we're talking about bad advice. Is like, do some women actually do that?
I guess they can. I don't have friends like that in my circle. Grateful that I don't. I wouldn't be friends with someone like that. Right? Because that's someone who's actually trying to manipulate you into making a bad decision.
But would an unhealthy, toxic person, whether or not, you thought it was your friend and you'd been friends with them for a long time, and then it came out in that situation.
Yeah, they would.
And I'm certainly not saying that men haven't done it. Like, how many men have contacted their best friend's ex-girlfriend a few months later to see if she's single? Right? And almost had that plan.
Yeah.
So you see that all the time too. So yeah, it makes it interesting. But let's go back for a second. What is good dating advice before we talk about bad dating advice? Anyone have one tidbit? And don't do what I wouldn't do.
I still don't understand what that means. I kind of want to know. Don't do what I would do. What were you telling him?
We are very different. We have different tastes. I think that's what he meant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
No, I know that. I'm just putting him on the spot.
Yeah, what else is new?
I put him on the spot. Don't worry, he'll return the favor midway through this episode.
And guests are not exempt from being put on the spot.
Yes, exactly. No, does anyone have a good piece of dating advice that they've ever been given?
Oh, that we've ever been given personally?
Well, you might have it, or that you've ever been given by someone. Say your dad on prom night.
Don't get someone pregnant. Use the damn condom.
That's a good piece of dating advice. Okay.
I think that is a good piece of dating advice.
Right? Don't pin her too hard.
I Another piece of good advice.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I think it's important to recognize where the advice is coming from.
Mhm.
Right. So when I was married, I remember my single friends would talk to me and tell me about how difficult things were dating. And I would be like, don't worry, you'll meet your man. And it's because I didn't understand.
Mm.
Right. I had met my husband in 1997.
Mm.
I didn't even understand like these dating apps. And so I was the wrong person to be taking advice
1997.
from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. It
Were
was
there
like,
cars back then?
I mean, you know,
Carriages.
they were carriages
Carriages.
Yeah.
Okay.
led by horses.
Dog sleds.
Well, we
Yes.
had the horse one.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so can I follow up actually
Yeah.
with that one, because so it goes back to a piece of advice that you hear a lot that's very similar, right? Like, don't worry, you'll meet your man, you'll meet your partner. And often advice, I mean, I've heard this too, and I've heard people give this, and it's okay. So when the time is right, you'll find your person. Don't look for it. Don't put. To me, that's bad advice.
Your
Yes, it
soulmate
is.
is right around the
Right?
corner.
It's terrible advice.
Okay, so here's the first question. What is the message? What message are you actually sending in that advice, and what's the reality behind that message?
Okay, so the message is you're not in control of your destiny. So it'll just fall into your lap, right? You shouldn't actually be in.
That happened to Adam once. It
Really?
was at the strip club
Was it
though, and
fun?
she tripped off the stage.
I did catch her. It was very chivalrous.
Yes, it was. Yes.
Yes. I'm glad, there were no cell phones back then. But yes.
1995.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
okay.
97.
Right, 97,
I
right.
went home in a carriage.
Did you find the missing slipper?
No, I did not.
Okay.
um,
Big balls. No.
I totally lost my train of thought.
So what's the message behind someone saying that it'll happen naturally? Don't look for it. It's just magically gonna happen.
Right. So nothing magically happens. I think we recognize that everything in life is intentional, right? So it is possible that you might meet your person in some random place like the grocery store or whatnot, but that's rare, and it's rarer in today's world. So if I use myself as an example, I work from home. I work out at a gym that's primarily all women. And those are the two spots where I spend 95% of my time. So no one's magically ending up at my door unless I strategically go out and find opportunities to meet people. So
Al's going to be showing up at your gym.
no, he won't.
I've already been ixnayed from that. Yeah.
No, he's not
Yeah.
allowed.
Yeah. It's a
Sorry,
sad
Al.
story another time.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's like anything else. If it's something that's important to you, then you have to be clear on what it is you want, and you have to put yourself out there for the opportunities.
Yeah. I don't think you can become a millionaire by, playing the lottery all the time. It does happen to certain people, but that's kind of
It's rare.
hopeful. Yeah.
Or even
Wishful.
worse, trying to win the lottery without buying the damn ticket.
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
It's as
Just
simple as
keep
that.
thinking about it.
Exactly.
Like, I'm going to buy that next
I'm
week.
good.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So okay. Either one of you, in terms of a piece of bad dating advice, either you've received or something that comes to mind, or even one that you've given.
Oh, Bev, you start. I have a list.
Oh, you have a
Okay.
list?
yeah?
I have
Okay.
a good list.
One of the worst pieces of advice I've gotten was, I think you're being too picky.
Yes.
And to me, it's just such it's such a stupid thing to say.
Okay. So let's go back there first. So what's the message behind you're being too picky?
Okay. So
And kind of the corollary of that is, at some point you just have to settle.
you just have to settle.
Settle.
Yeah.
I
I know.
think we all know that when you invite a partner into your world, you can be inviting a tremendous amount of peace and joy, or fucking drama and chaos. And it takes time, not a first date, a second date, a third date. It takes time to really assess the character of the person. So I would say that if there was anything in life to be picky and discerning about, it's your partner.
Here's and I agree.
Okay.
People seem to think picky means, and I've gotten this before, maybe if you stop having to date people who look like supermodels all the time. Okay? And it's like, hang on a second, that's someone else's perception.
Yeah.
What it goes back to is, anyone who says
Supermodels
Are you
often
dating
stay home at night.
supermodels?
No,
No,
but
no.
supermodels
wondering.
often stay home at night because no one's asking them on dates.
that's true
Yeah.
too.
That is so
And
true.
actually, you know what? Talking about that, a piece of advice I do remember from my dad. I remember him saying, "Hey, you know what? You're interested. You talk to you go and ask." And he had the experience growing up as a child where he went out with this female. I think
Then no one else
that
was
no one else was
asking.
asking out because, and they all assumed. And
Mm-hmm.
reality is, she was home every
Yes.
Friday and Saturday,
Mm.
and that's often the case. But what
It
people
is.
seem to think is, I dare anyone to say physical attraction doesn't play a role, right? Because when you're looking at a person across the bar making winky eyes, and you're not thinking, hey, that interesting, really different, unique. I'm trying to think of
Maybe I should put my
Like
glasses on.
character traits.
yeah, it's like, you know what? That brain of theirs is just calling me. You haven't said a word, right?
No,
Physical attraction
It's-
matters. It does.
And anyone who says otherwise is full of shit.
physical
Okay?
attraction matters.
But
Pheromones matter.
Right.
Yeah.
They
But
do.
somehow when you bring that up, all of a sudden you're looking for a supermodel. You're looking for a 10. People, they don't understand the idea of you have to be attracted to. But so going along with that, when we talk about being picky, people automatically assume being picky goes back to that physical element so often as well.
Mhm.
Or being picky also might be, and there was another episode I think Adam may have referenced in terms of people having lists with things, right? Well, they have to be at least 6 feet tall.
Right.
And they have to make at least
6 figures.
Women
and-
have to
and
be a
well-
certain weight.
exactly,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
That's different than having traits that you're looking for.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm not talking about physicality at all.
Right. So
I'm talking about character, right?
I'm
Like,
still talking about physicality though.
okay.
I want people to have their eyes lined up, and I don't like people with little like crinkly ears. I don't know why it freaks
No.
me out, but there's something about that.
Okay.
But yes, but character does matter, so we'll go
Yeah.
back to that.
Yeah.
What about people's character is important?
I'm thinking about hobbit feet now.
Cloven hooves.
Yeah, let the hair
So-
all over.
I'm going to switch it back to
Onions?
character.
Okay, sorry, yes.
Listen, you're looking for compatibility,
Mhm.
intellectual compatibility, emotional compatibility,
Morals.
morals.
Mm.
Yeah. Are you aligned in terms of what you want for your lives? Right?
Temperament.
Temperament.
Yeah.
So important. Right? Do you have fun when you're with each other? Sometimes you come into someone's presence and you're like, I just love being with this person. It's fun.
They
Other
always make me
times-
laugh, even
right.
when we're having
You-
a hard time. They
Right,
still
yeah.
make me laugh.
And you
Yeah.
can feel your nervous system just calm down. You're
Mhm.
like, I feel good with this person around.
Yeah.
And conversely, there's like other people you come into their presence
Physically
and you feel it,
Oh yeah,
right?
it's almost
It's
like
an
you're
energy.
stepping outside into almost like that really boiling hot air, and it's just you can't breathe.
It's suffocating
Yeah.
almost.
No, when you're
Or-
not sure why you're attracted, it's
Yeah.
your trauma that you're attracted to, and
Or-
then you just
Yeah.
know that's going to be painful at some
Right.
point.
And
Yeah.
going back to, because we often like to reference chaos here and there,
There,
and,
there.
and like I know for me, I like a little bit of that personality and that energy. Like for
Mhm.
me, someone who is just so reserved and quiet,
It's not for you.
proper.
Mhm.
I'm just like, okay, wake me up when this is done, and it's not an insult to them. It's just what I need.
It's we don't have to go into this, but it is tied. I tend to tie a lot
Let
of
me
things
guess,
back to
attachment theory?
attachment, but I'm not going to go deep
Oh.
into it. But you would seek out a little bit of chaos,
Hell yeah.
because anything less than that would feel to you
It's boring.
boring,
Yeah.
right? So that's okay. I'm the same way.
That's
It's
never
not a
that's
criticism.
Oh, I don't
that-
take.
I
don't
like a
take it.
little. You
I
even-
love how she just picked on you for that.
I know.
Just left me out of it.
In all fairness, though, I kind of.
I don't look for that at
I was gonna
all.
say, in all fairness, I picked on you earlier, which is a total joke, by the way, for everyone out there. That story about Adam falling in lap never happened, so I just want to clarify that. But it made for great. Oh, really?
Okay. I'll
I
I'll
was
come
like
to you next time,
19,
okay?
but yeah.
I'll-
Okay, no.
Next time.
But no, what happens to him happens to me, just on the flip side of the scale, avoidant, anxious.
Anxious. Well, I was gonna
Yeah.
say sometimes on the flip, and yet it's interesting because we talk about how many similarities are there,
Mm.
despite that. Because again, it goes back to avoidant, or as I've shared before, depending on the person, I can become anxious avoidant, right? More that anxious style. And at times too, I think I'm even slowly trending towards that higher level of securedness.
I'm so
I'd like
proud of you, Al. Like, I'm just proud of you the way you're talking about this. You're really, yeah, you're
That
starting to
needle just
really.
keeps going like
I
this.
know.
It's trying to get closer to it, back and forth.
No, no,
It's actually more than EMF. It's just that like
Exactly, yeah.
spiritual presence. It's like there's. I'm asking the producer if this studio's haunted.
Yeah. So we don't have to dive too much into attachments. Right? Like, what
No,
other-
we like attachment.
Yeah.
We certainly hit
Kinda
on it enough.
fascinating.
It is very fascinating, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, we avoidant, anxious.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on before we kind of get into all the different examples of bad advice, I thought maybe we'd go into maybe some of the reasons that you should not be giving your friends or family relationship advice.
Okay, can I challenge you for a second? Is that nobody should ever be giving relationship advice?
Depending, right? Like if your grandfather wants to give you some life advice, it's going to save you a lot of pain. Maybe you should listen to that. But more often than not, if their heart's in the right place, yes. But even that advice may not be helpful. I know the other day I've listened to someone talk about, they were forget dating, they were in a position of going for one job or another, and their mother was telling them to go for the safer job, whereas they kind of didn't listen and went for the other opportunity, and they ended up being much happier, making 10 times more. So even in those situations, heart in the right place, but also they wanted for the safety, not for, the life experience.
And oh, sorry, go
Yes,
ahead.
I have something to say about this. I do think that there is value in engaging people in conversation. Like, so if you're talking to people who really know you well, you're about to make a big decision, you want their input, there's value in that, right? You trust their opinion. But I would always say, always, never substitute someone else's opinion for your own, right? So it's like
Trust your own opinion, trust your own gut, validate
collect the
yourself.
data,
Yeah.
and then go, all right, here's what I see in front of me.
I don't listen to anybody else. You?
No.
But you seek input.
But here's the thing. If I want another perspective, or if I'm considering something, then I will talk to people whose opinion I trust.
Fair.
When someone gives me unsolicited advice,
Oh, we're talking only unsolicited here.
I'm just saying when it was unsolicited, it kind of goes in and goes out.
Right.
Because often, depending where that's coming from, it's, you know what, you really don't understand me, my needs, or anything about me.
Okay.
Or you're coming from a really unhealthy place yourself.
Yeah.
But I respect Adam's advice.
Look,
and I respect your
like
and I
that.
respect your advice.
Thank you.
So,
Just as a side
He was
note.
Myers-Briggs while we're here too.
INTJ, architect.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
As a side note, unsolicited advice, there is no point in your life as a woman that you will receive more unsolicited advice than when you're pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone is touching your belly and telling you this and this and this and this.
And they're not even telling you the truth.
And a lot of times they're telling you fucking horror stories too, and you're like, oh, I don't want to be pregnant anymore. It's too late.
Men do that too. Yeah, most men will lull a expecting new father into a false sense of security, and then when the reality hits, they start laughing at them, going, "I didn't want to tell you the truth. This is yeah."
Yeah.
They're like, "I didn't want to tell you." It's like you're loving, it's fantastic, and then you get there, like, "See,
I'm way
I
off
should have
base.
told
I'm way
you."
off
how,
base
like,
with
That's
this.
fucking me.
I'm way off base, but I got to share this story. So I was on the radio a couple of days ago. I forget where I was, and they were talking about this. Just came up. So it's amazing how anytime a pregnant lady, right, and everyone's going, doesn't even random people go up and like touch the
Right,
belly.
it's the worst.
So unsolicited, right?
Ugh.
Like, but
Till you get that wrong.
exactly. But the male did contribute, and yet no one ever goes up and grabs him by the balls because that's the part which helped contribute. Just saying. And no, do not be going out and doing that to anyone. But at the same time, don't be going touching random willies, like women's bellies. Like,
No, we hate
I like
it.
that Freudian slip. Don't be touching anyone's willy. Good job. All right, let's go back to this. The top 3 reasons not to give friends and family relationship advice.
Yep.
Okay.
Number 1, see if everyone agrees. You make them feel bad about themselves when you do that. Does it come off as advice or criticism? And especially, let's go back to attachment theory. How do people take that? right?
Yeah, so it depends on your lens and your perspective,
Mhm.
right? So if you are, for example, very sensitive to criticism, someone who's dismissive avoidant will actually be very sensitive to criticism, although they don't show it, but they are,
Or perfectionists.
or a perfectionist, right? So it depends on where you're coming from. Um, that does matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Al? We got the expert opinion. Now I'm going to ask Felix.
Now you're going to ask for the unexpert. Can you read the question again?
You make them feel bad about
Yeah.
themselves when you give them unsolicited advice.
I think it depends on the person.
Mm.
I think depending on the person, yeah, some people are going to feel definitely criticized. I think in most cases, yes, but there might be other people again who just don't really give a shit.
Let's go to the average person for a second.
Yeah.
Did they ask for your advice? Just a question.
No, if it's the average person, it's going to definitely come off. It depends on how it is shared as well.
Are they going to
Delivery-
think that you're coming off as holier than thou and saying that you know
Most
better
likely.
than they do?
Most likely.
Okay. Are they going to think that you're trying to overstep and control them in some way? See, I took notes.
Potentially.
Yeah.
So we have to ask ourselves, what drives someone to give unsolicited advice? Like if I were to just
Is
look
it
at
to
you.
be helpful, or what's the other reasons?
Okay, so we all do things to meet certain needs,
Mhm.
right? So in this case, it would be probably something around the area of wanting to contribute or feel significant,
Mhm.
to have importance. And this is why mothers, I'm a mother too.
Mhm.
I give advice to my boys all the time. Did you eat? Did you take your vitamins? Like
But
I'm
when you think that's your role as a parent, though.
It
Yeah.
is, but my children are adults now.
Yeah,
So
but I
I
think
still-
as my mother says,
I was
you know,
gonna
your
say-
children are always your
I
children.
was going to say, yeah,
Yeah.
parents, it doesn't matter how old you get.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
still your baby, quote unquote.
I
Yeah.
agree, but
They don't
they
take
have
it that
left the
way.
nest and
Yeah.
they've spread their wings,
Yeah.
right? And I have to trust that I taught them well.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
so I do think that it actually depends on why people are giving the advice.
Yeah.
But I don't really believe that someone can make you feel bad.
No, I agree.
You are in
Again,
control
it's
of your
validation.
mind.
Yeah, you're in control of all
Right.
of that. Yeah.
And listen, I'll give a little tip to everyone. If someone says something to you like, "Hey, Bev, I think you need a haircut," which is probably true at the moment, but I would say, "Thank you, appreciate that." That's it.
I'd be like, thanks. I really like your beard.
Thanks for letting me
Male
know.
or female?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So the worst thing you can do when it's unsolicited is get angry.
Yeah.
Because then you escalate to a conversation that you never fucking wanted to have in the first place.
And sometimes that's what they're looking for.
Attention.
Yeah.
Right. So
I like
don't
when she puts
escalate.
words to it.
Yeah, don't escalate.
Terminology. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't
Yeah.
escalate.
Yeah.
Hey, you can lose a little bit of weight. Thanks for letting me know.
It's like,
Done.
Do you want it? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Number 2, it can hurt your relationship with that person.
Hell, even solicited advice can hurt because if people don't want to hear the truth. So we think about it. People often ask for advice. Not that you and I have ever encountered that.
I don't usually ask for advice.
No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
I should. I just.
There you go. But we all know people, right? We all know people where they'll ask for your opinion, and then you give the honest opinion. They don't want to hear that anyhow because it goes against what they wanted to hear.
Yeah.
They just want to feel validated. And so if that happens with solicited advice, imagine what happens with unsolicited
You
advice.
did look fat in those pants.
That's why I changed. But I was hurt for a bit, but I appreciate the honesty.
Unless you have an agreement, right? So I have an
Or a safe
agreement.
word.
Safe word.
I
What are
mean,
we rolling into
I
here?
don't know. Okay, Al has safe words. Normally, I just have agreements
Okay, agreements
with
with.
people where I say, "Listen, I'm authentically honest. It doesn't mean you're gonna like everything I say. It doesn't mean I'm gonna like everything you say to me.
Mhm.
But if that's the relationship we're having, then just know that when I say something to you, it's not to inflict harm."
It's hard though, because some people will run away. Like as an example, okay, I'll use
Yeah,
the
it's not for
example.
everyone, Adam.
No, but I'm saying if let's as an example, if you're anxious, and I had to get over this, but you go through, you're a kid and your parents get divorced. There's a certain feeling in that moment when they're telling you, that they're getting divorced. So let's say, as an example, they say at that moment, we have to talk. You'll be triggered every time someone ever says to you, we have to talk. But you have to get
Yes.
over that because you have to make the other person feel comfortable where they can come talk to you.
Yes.
Right. So I find that interesting because it's like your triggers are what's not going to allow the open conversation. But in everything that it's saying here, it's saying it'll hurt your relationship because bad advice threatens the recipient's independence. They want to be heard, not talked to. Men do this, right? We don't necessarily listen. We want to fix things. So sometimes we just don't listen.
No, we're terrible at that.
Which is an issue, but I mean, a lot of men
we are
can learn
no,
this.
no,
Yeah.
Not all. I hate
we're not,
painting everyone.
No, no,
with
we're
the
not
same
saying, but men, we're talking about
Want to be
generally.
fixers. Yeah.
We want
Yeah.
to be fixers. We are
Yeah.
not necessarily the best of listeners at that, because it's just, how can I fix? How can I help? And so we're not hearing everything that's going on,
I
and
do agree.
that's something that is an
You're not
acquired
validating
skill.
someone's feelings.
Exactly.
Even though you shouldn't have to, but
We'll let that one slide.
exactly. That's a term that you hear all the time, but you're not supposed to do that anymore. They are rejecting your opinions, and they're weakening trust. It says when they are giving you unsolicited advice. Do we agree with that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So trust is built on understanding each other's needs and boundaries. So
Yeah.
over time.
With
So-
trust, you should be open enough to, especially with your partner, be open to hearing their issues with you. If you're not open to
So
that,
we're
right?
not talking about
talking
a
about-
couple partner talking about issues. We're
We're talking about giving
advice.
unsolicited advice, but no, but even your partner can give you unsolicited advice just based on something that they would like to see from you that would help them to better your relationship.
But in terms of bad dating advice,
In terms of bad dating
right?
advice,
Because right now we're not talking about bad relationship advice.
remember, you wanted to be in a relationship, so some of that is leading to a
But
relationship.
leading up to it, so going back to me wanting to be in one, which
Yeah.
then goes back to the bad dating advice.
Yeah.
Don't buy the milk when you
I'm
can get
feeling
the
very
cow for
vulnerable
free.
right now.
Are you? Are you feeling
I'll
called
be okay.
out?
I'll be
You'll be okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
want to hold my hands?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
We could
Would
co-regulate.
you like my advice / criticism right now? Number 3. Your bad relationship advice is unlikely to help.
Yeah, for sure.
Do we agree with that?
Yeah.
Like, it's a
Yeah.
crapshoot. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh,
you
yeah.
think it's gonna help,
No.
they may never take it because they might just be the kind of person that doesn't listen to you, like impulsive me, or
It's probably
Other
just
people.
off target.
more often than not, right?
Yeah.
Because you're seeing it through your own lens,
Your own
and
lens, your own
biases.
experiences,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So what does it say here? It said, no one listens to unsolicited advice. It weakens your bond, and over time, they will rely on you less and less if they can't just vent without getting I wrote the word BS here, advice, and I misspelled advice.
Since when have you been so politically correct and PG?
I'm just reading this, but I wrote in all caps with many exclamation points, no one asked you for your advice. So I think we all agree with all 3 of those, right?
Yeah.
It's going to make them feel bad about themselves. It'll hurt your relationship with them. It's unlikely to help. So why do people still do it?
Because they're trying to get their own needs met.
Yeah.
And there's often a lack of communication in all sorts of relationships, which means if I don't tell you that I don't want your unsolicited advice, Bev, you shouldn't wear black. It looks terrible on you. And I go, okay, thanks. Right.
Yeah.
Terrible example, but we'll go with it.
Well, not everyone. Yeah. Outside of a funeral, maybe not everyone likes it.
Right. But so
I
you
wear
tell
black all the time, but yes.
so
The
you tell me
occult,
this.
The occult
Yeah.
like it.
Hmm?
It's very in fashion with the occult. I'm just saying.
So if every week you're giving me new fashion advice and I didn't ask you,
Yeah.
and I don't tell you that it bothers me,
Why
You're
do
gonna
you
continue.
wear your hair that way?
right?
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 Why do you wear a hat all the time, Adam?
Right. So it seems very critical, but there's a responsibility, A, on the person who's giving it to recognize, why do I feel the need to communicate this to the person? And if the person doesn't like it, they have to stand up for themselves and go, you know what, Adam, thanks for the fashion advice. I'm good. In fact, this happened a couple of weeks ago. We had a conversation and I was talking to you about some outfit you were going to wear at an upcoming event.
Oh,
And
yes.
I said, do you want my help putting together your outfit? And you said, no, I got it. And I go, okay.
Because I do dress well. I would just like to
Generally,
Yeah,
but like everyone, could use like an opinion at times, right?
Yeah, but I mean, we haven't even touched on backhanded compliments. Like, walking up to
Oh.
someone, I really like that beard.
Isn't that called
On you.
negging?
I do like his beard though.
Wait, thank you.
Mine would be way more
And the
white.
shorter haircut, it's
I
better.
do like the shorter haircut.
I appreciate
Yes.
yes. I
And the
remember
glasses too. It's a
the
nice
glass.
look.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
I
it's
can
not,
never
it's
get a
coming
thumbnail
together.
of him with that hair though. It's really hard to cut it
Yeah.
out. But you know,
Want me just like I can
every once in a while we need you to wear a hat just for
Okay.
promotion's sake. But
Fair
yes,
Can we go back?
Yes.
Look, I'm loving the
of
conversation.
course.
But part of it was, I think it's important. We've touched on
You
like
think
one or
that
two.
women give more bad dating
No,
advice?
not
We're going
even
back
that.
to that.
I would just love to. Do we have even? Look, I want to carry on this conversation, but do we have other examples of what constitutes bad dating advice?
Yeah.
Because I think it's important for people out there to hear.
Okay.
We have long lists, and I've even added to that.
Okay.
I'm going to give my first one, which is something that happened to me recently,
Okay.
when people could see that I started a new relationship and we were getting along quite well. And people that had known me for a long time, but whenever people see you at the beginning of a new relationship, you always get the same comment: "Oh, it's the honeymoon phase." Now the question is that a reflection of your relationship, or is that a reflection of their past relationships or who they are? And that's like a backhanded compliment, like, "You guys look so great together, honeymoon phase."
No, what it means is just wait for 6 months from now. You won't be so happy. That's what
I
people
fully
are saying.
understand what that means,
But
right?
it's obnoxious to say that to
course.
someone,
It's
right?
like, because usually I wasn't happy after 6 months, so you won't be happy after 6 months.
And
Yeah.
again, if it's a good fit, you will still be happy. And again, when you're out in the public eye as well, what may present one way can be very, very different,
Oh yeah,
right?
Mhm.
Behind closed doors.
for sure.
Like there's all kinds of things that go into that. But again, automatically, yeah, just wait. As if it's suggesting that in the end, no relationship is healthy, no relationship is good, and it's just people are constantly at each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think, did Al touch on this one? It'll happen when it's meant to.
Yeah.
We did that
Mm.
one.
yeah.
Here's one for Al. Play hard to get. It's like, come over to my house. We're gonna play hide and seek. I'm gonna go out. No?
And that's a great.
What does
piece
that
of
one mean?
advice.
Play hard to get.
Oh my god, you know,
That's
it's
bad
like-
game playing
yeah,
advice.
yeah.
it's the whole idea. The more you make someone chase and you look like you're not all that interested, it makes you more desirable because it's there's there's kind of this mystery or this.
Yes.
It's that you're creating that sense of desire,
Yes.
right? Where it's almost like when it's too easy. Okay.
Yeah.
Especially if someone likes to chase,
Mm-hmm.
right?
It's a
Even
concrete.
more so. Yeah. The reality, you're either going to turn someone off,
Yeah.
because eventually it's like, you know what, I've had enough of this.
Well, my girlfriend actually sent me her own list.
Oh, yeah?
And it actually on hers it says play hard to get forever.
Forever?
This is just a list that she's written out of things that she's seen online. Forever.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right.
That'll work out in your
All
favor.
right.
I'm gonna go back and forth between these two
Okay.
lists.
So I agree that you're going to either really push people away with playing hard to get. It's a game.
Yeah.
It's manipulative. It's not authentic. So I don't ascribe to any of that. Or what you're going to do is you're going to attract someone who again has
Likes the chase.
yes.
And maybe only the chase.
and is probably likely anxiously attached.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
we'll just the more you pull away, we'll keep
I was
running
gonna
after
say,
you.
Yeah, I almost picture someone almost like Cujo, this really super anxious person, just salivating or frothing at the mouth, going, yes, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
until they
right?
learn their
Right,
own
but
patterns and
maybe-
they're out. Yeah.
Right. And so they're used to chasing love,
Yeah.
from their childhood. And so either way, it's a bad strategy to land someone who is emotionally healthy,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
So if you want a relationship, just be authentic. Be
Al landed
honest.
me. We're all good.
The two of you have such a bromance. It's lovely.
Isn't
I
it?
know.
It's secure.
All right.
I feel that between
Yeah.
the two of you.
See,
I feel
but this happened.
Yeah.
This one happened in our relationship. Never text first, or you'll seem desperate. Who wrote who first?
I think you wrote first.
No, actually, you wrote me
Oh,
first.
did I?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I wrote you back. I said, you know what? I saw your art. It seems like we have a lot in common. We should start a podcast.
Is that how it went? Is that a revisionist
It
history?
took a few days,
Yeah.
but it bloomed quickly.
I did play a bit hard to get.
Yes.
A lot of these rules,
Mhm.
they're from a book called The Rules. You know that? This
For
book
sure.
has been around
Never
for how
text
long?
first, or you'll seem desperate. How long's it been around? I didn't, when, 80s?
I think
Yeah.
so. Like it's been
It was on
Yeah.
Oprah at one point.
yeah, and people still ascribe to these principles, right? Like don't text first, or wait 3 days after a date, or don't do this, don't
Well,
do
the
that.
same
It's
ones in the
just,
same lines. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this one. The more you ignore them, the more they'll chase you. Yeah, if they're anxious.
if
Again,
they're
Again,
anxious.
yeah.
But if
they're
they're
avoidant. I'm out.
anxious,
Yeah.
if they're anxious, there's a very high chance also that they're not emotionally regulated,
Mhm.
or maybe they're
They're
working
using
towards
you
that.
to emotionally regulate themselves.
Right. And so that's the partner you want, then this is a great dating strategy.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
here's one for the avoidant. Never show any emotion. Any emotion. It's a sign of weakness. Agree or disagree?
I don't know what you're talking.
Very, very stoic of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because again, when you start,
But this might be more for advice for women than for men.
it could
right?
be either way, but right, it's
Okay.
right, and that's whether it's body language emotion, whether it's intonation, even if like you're texting, right?
Yeah.
Throw in that cute little emoji versus nope, just keep it very transactional.
Oh
very
no,
face-
but there are sites online where it's like devoted to Stoics, and it's all about Stoics. This would be like number one on the list. Show no emotion.
Right.
Like no one can get anything out of you.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you asked whether it's gendered based, because do you actually think that there are healthy men out there that want a woman who is emotionless?
Hmm.
I mean, I think that most men will appreciate a woman who is nurturing, is caring, who has a soft heart.
And isn't
But
always in their masculine energy.
right.
Yeah.
Right. So
That doesn't
Ter-
chase any men away.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
No, it's not good.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Next one.
I concur.
What?
I concur. To be continued.
Okay. Have a specific list of must-haves.
Again, I think it goes back to
Healthy list, maybe.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. If the must-haves are, as we mentioned earlier, so tall, such a weight, makes this much salary, blah, 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 yeah,
Mhm.
really unhealthy. If the must-haves are good communicator,
Honesty.
yeah, emotionally intelligent,
Loyalty.
authentic,
Respectful.
vulnerable.
That's a good one.
I know.
Those are the must-haves.
Yeah.
But I would say that's for almost any relationship, if not all relationships, right? It's when we
Yeah.
start getting into the nitty-gritty, that's where people are really closing off opportunities.
Yeah, I
Here's one of
agree.
here's one of my
Well
favorites.
said.
Thank you.
Was well said.
Thanks.
One of my favorites. Stick to the apps, Al.
I've heard
Does
both.
that work for you?
I was gonna say I've heard both stick to the apps and avoid the apps at all costs.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna tackle them both in one,
Mhm.
and that is, don't limit yourself to any one area. I know people will say, well, the apps, it's nothing but bullshit and window shopping and unhealthy people. That's not completely true.
No.
Okay. At the same time, get out there, because there's something different about meeting someone in person. You pick up, again, whether it's the energy, which you can play off of, the
Are
pheromones,
they
the
saying
personality.
here? Yeah, but are they saying here that you don't come off as great in real life as you would on an app?
There's, I think
That's the question I
no,
have.
I think a lot of it is. I think a lot of it is because everything these days is so digital and so technological, right? So you bank via online, you shop via online. A lot of people work from home via everything now is digital, and so because of that, it's well, why not just add this in, because this is just the way
And
things
AI
are going.
wrote your profile for you. Yes.
And there's a lot of that
Yeah.
out there too. So, my take on that is don't stick just to the apps.
Okay.
But if you're not, if you're out and, because you got to get off your ass and get out of your house. It's amazing what happens when you go out and socialize. But if being out and about, you're not doing things, then the apps might be an addendum to things. But to me, there's opportunities all over the place. You got to put yourself out there through every means possible. That's why for Bev, it's a little surprise. I don't know if you know this, but we rented one of those planes with the big banners behind it. And it's just going to fly over the city. So it's like with a picture of you. You're welcome.
A really long picture of her, just her eyes.
No, just a picture. And it's
My
like,
mind
That'd be a really
down.
big banner.
yeah,
Is it like the George Costanza? She's like wearing her socks.
exactly.
Yeah.
So from KOK to you.
Okay.
Thank you for coming on.
Oh my gosh. Hopefully I'll get a date.
There you go. Yeah,
Wow, thank
You're
you.
welcome. But if not, it'll get some attention anyhow.
Oh,
Because
sure, I'll love
It
that.
actually says KOK in big things, and then there's a tiny picture of you. I forgot to mention that, but it's still from us to you.
Does it say Bev loves KOK?
Bev does
Bev
love
loves
talk.
KOK?
Yeah.
We can
Yeah,
have that
I,
shirt
I
made.
will get lots of dates.
Yeah,
There you go.
Bev loves
That's
talk.
the way to
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Not touching that.
That's what she said.
Exactly.
That was fucking funny.
Next one. I'm gonna answer this one myself.
All
You
right.
can change someone. Yes,
Of
change
course.
yourself.
Yeah. Start
Stop
there.
trying to change other people.
Yeah,
The only
start there.
person you can change is you. So that is really bad advice.
Yeah.
Al gave me this advice once, but not about dating or relationships. It's a numbers game.
No, I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I asked the question early on, what type of dating were we talking about? So if it's like casual encounters, numbers game, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
But a lot of things in life are a numbers game. Like you have to have different experiences to learn as much as you can, even about yourself, to get to that point where you know yourself well enough to find yourself in the right place to meet the
Yes.
right person. So that's a numbers game in itself. Are they saying though you're just going to meet 100 of the same person without recognizing that that person is not for you, thinking, oh wow, it's like the next one's the one. Like, no, it's the same person.
Here's the issue I take with the numbers game one. Okay. And that is the suggestion just, well, if you just keep going out and meeting enough people, eventually you'll find the one.
Mm,
But if you are not self-aware and haven't done the work and you're falling into the same pattern over and over, then you're just
Right.
meeting the same type. Hence, it's not really a numbers game. It's
The same person over and over again.
Yeah, it's like the numbers game. Here's the number.
Definition of
The
insanity.
number is one because look at yourself first.
I agree, but if you're dating multiple people at once, there's also, I think, a fair argument to say that you're not really invested in getting to know someone to the point that you need to invest to ascertain their character.
Yeah.
And we keep going back to character. So if you don't give a shit about character and you just want to
You're
have
just in it for the lust, and then when the lust runs out,
you
you're
want
out.
to
Then
you want or you want a roster, you know, you got 5 or 6 on the roster, and then it's a numbers game.
yeah, that's just keep you busy, so you don't have to look inside at yourself.
100%. I am not advocating for that, but like some people do date
Done it.
for that intent.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Some people go to strip clubs. Al.
some people do that too. You go to strip club?
No, I did not. No, I don't.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Got it.
anymore.
Okay.
Everyone,
the former
everyone gets
No,
taken
well,
to one on that one
but how
birthday
about-
where you're legally allowed to drink. So we all know
Exactly.
that's true. Yes.
All right.
And then
so
I
a few
worked.
years
And
ago.
then I worked at one for a while. No, I'm just joking.
In the back room,
Doing the dishes.
cleaning it.
'Cause I wasn't good enough to be up on stage,
Oh.
and that's my trauma.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
understand.
playing hard to get. I think we've already covered. Love will conquer all.
Oh God.
I
In
was-
what world?
I was just talking about
Disney.
that today.
Oh, I don't want to say anything.
Disney.
Oh.
Yes.
That's your fault.
I didn't say anything.
You mentioned slippers earlier.
I did.
Uh,
I actually just talked about. I was talking about that today, actually.
what? Love will
with-
conquer all?
Yeah, like right through the practice and everything, and it was.
Hollywood's
That's
perpetuated
what I
that
said.
myth.
Yeah, right. And so everything's romanticized, but
Mhm.
love will not conquer all.
Nope.
Can't.
No.
Do you notice how every Disney movie ends with the prince getting?
Just say something nice, please. We do.
No, we love
you,
Disney. I do. I watch it with my
love.
kids all the time.
It's a
Yeah.
wonderful
My favorite
production
channel.
company. But every one of their storylines ends with usually the prince getting the girl that he wants.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
fall in love. It ends.
They're
That-
formulaic.
But
yeah.
hang on.
but that's the end.
Yeah.
Right. But in all
And all
fairness,
comedies end
yeah.
with the guy single. Right?
no, but I was gonna
There's
say,
different
but
lessons
in
for
all
different
fairness,
movies,
but in all
right?
fairness, not just Disney. We see that so often in so many things.
Yeah, rom-coms for sure.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
because it's formulaic and it appeals to the heart and it's so beautiful and tender and people need this. But the thing is, it would be
It gives people hope, though.
and hope is a good thing,
Yeah.
but love does not
Pinocchio's
conquer
a
all.
love story.
No.
Love does not conquer all.
No, I think we all enjoy feeling
Pinocchio's love story.
romance. Like romance is such a great feeling when you're in it, but you have to be able to look past that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, this next one adds right to that one. Your soulmate is out there.
Oh my God. Or
Do
your twin
soulmates
flame.
exist? Oh, twin flame.
Twin flames, soulmates. I hate these terms.
Well,
I'm not
you
a
love
fan.
online tarot. You love them, but you know, it's a fantasy. It's like winning the lottery.
Well, and part of it comes down to in this day and age, there's so many terms being thrown out. Another episode I want to do with. There's so many terms being thrown out. I'm gonna almost call it pop culture terms these
Yeah.
days, and people don't really understand what they mean, or they so buy into this.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if you subscribe to the idea of soulmates, then there's the possibility of multiple soulmates as well.
Yeah,
Different
but
people at
soulmates
different
are
times
just for
for-
friendships or
Yeah.
going to strip clubs with.
I promise not to fall on your lap again.
That I'd love
I
to
just
see.
don't want to see your pants glow in the dark.
And that's why Bev wanted to give advice for the upcoming show because of the
tried.
fact that I was going to do the glow in the dark pants.
There
Okay.
you go.
Best-
I tried, but
All
you
right.
know, you turned me down.
Okay, yeah.
You can
I was gonna
reconsider.
I think Al and I talked about this one in another episode where we were talking about it was chivalry, I think, or at least the one on dating, replying to texts. This one says actually straight up as advice to reply to the other person's text 3 days late. It's another game,
Yeah, it's another game. Yeah,
right?
It's
You
a
can't just be
variation.
honest of how you feel.
Yeah,
Was
because
a variation of the 1980s, the rules.
Yeah.
You know, call her 3 days later, right after first date. That's ridiculous. If I actually want to
You never
engage
know if
with
she
someone,
got home.
no.
well, that's true.
Hmm.
But also, like, you know, my phone is not glued to me. I know certainly your phone isn't. It's on 3 times throughout during the day, and then you can't reach you otherwise. So
It's a common theme in my life.
it's never on.
No.
But
Never.
so I think the point is that if you actually are looking at your phone and a text comes in, answer the text. I know for me, I'm going to put my phone down for another 4 hours. Right? So what's the game?
Well, the game is, again, you want to look desirable.
It's so
right from a man's
disingenuous.
perspective, you want to look desirable, you want to look hard to get, you want to look too desperate or too needy. It's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
And it turns women off.
Yeah.
But guys don't seem to get that. The big thing here, and again, we do this each and every episode. We're gonna have to start doing like 5-hour podcasts. We're gonna call them like KOK marathons.
This one won't be that long.
No, because I was gonna say I think we might be getting the signal. Well, we have a little
I
bit of
only
time.
have one left.
Oh, okay,
so,
okay. Because I just had a question for the two of you from there, but okay.
This is really good advice if you want to freak someone out. But then again, it goes back to astrology. Ask for their star sign before you ask for their name.
Which one's the star sign? I understand the zodiac, and all the rest confuses me anyhow.
Star sign?
Yeah.
Beth?
No, this
I
is
know them,
not. This is not my area of
No,
expertise.
but
I
you're serious.
know.
Like,
But
that's not your zodiac, right?
What?
That's not
I
your
think it
zodiac.
is.
Star sign?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it is your
Yeah, it
zodiac?
is.
Yeah, I think it's the same
Oh, because
thing.
there's other
Your
things.
star sign would be your sun sign, I think, or your moon
There's
sign.
the rising moon. There's that.
Yeah.
It's not my area.
Mine are the same. I'm Gemini and Sun and Moon. My mother loved this stuff, so
Oh,
I did learn
okay.
about it. And I use it all the time because I am a Gemini. If you ever tell a woman that, they run away like the plague.
You know what I like
So-
to do to confuse them? I just tell them my Chinese zodiac, and then they got to figure out that.
You're not
one,
the
and
year of
they'll
the
go,
tiger.
No.
Rat?
The pig.
How'd you know?
Muskrat?
I prefer the term boar, but not in a boring sense because I don't like boring.
You're the year of the boar.
Yes.
You're the year of the piggy.
Stench. The stench.
All
Show
right.
me some bacon, love, okay?
This one I'm not 100% sure on, but it will be our last one. Tell them you're just like your mom.
That is creepy on so many
This
levels.
is a list that was given to me. It
And
says
so
Who
the
wrote
advice
this?
is
Hang
tell
on.
them on a date that
Yeah.
you're just like
Who
your
wrote
mom.
this one? Oedipus?
But how would the date know my mom to make that comparison?
No, I
Well-
think that
No.
you're-
It'd be like Bev. You were just like my mom.
Oh
Yeah.
fuck! Don't do that.
That's what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Oh my god!
I'm saying.
Sexual like attraction
Yeah.
kill
that
immediately.
is
Yeah.
Freud written all
Wow.
over it.
Oedipus.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those of you who haven't read it, check it out. It's an interesting play.
Yeah, that's
Am
no
I
good.
just like your mom?
Yep.
Yeah.
Are
I
you?
actually no,
No,
I
you
know, but I have dated people where it's just like they reminded me of a family member, sometimes not in a good way, because I was trying to work something out. But yeah, but that
Sure.
does happen. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, you could find someone the best quality of a parent in someone else,
Absolutely.
but they're never going to be the exact same.
But like saying you're just like my mom, you're just like my dad. Yeah, that speaks to some serious,
positive or negative.
some serious.
Yeah, that's just uncomfortable all
Yeah.
around.
On a first date,
special.
Second date?
At any point.
oh, I love you could bring that out in an argument too. You're just like your mom.
Oh,
I was
That'll
gonna
end a relationship in 30 seconds.
I was gonna go somewhere else with also not to use it, but we'll do that post show. So just remind
It's
me
a
after.
Seinfeld
Yeah,
episode.
just remind me post show.
I know
You
that
got it.
episode you're talking
There
about
you go.
too. You can keep those panties to yourself. Um, So what have we decided here? That you shouldn't give anyone any advice about anything when it comes to dating. Just let them figure it out for themselves.
I think if someone approaches you, if someone has questions, I think it's a combination. I mean, it's the type of thing, have a conversation, but don't, well, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. It's more,
No one ever wants to hear you should do this.
right? It's more a matter of, okay, what are you thinking? What are what are you wondering about? What are you contemplating? And then it can be, hey, in my experience, like always from in my experience, right? Here's been my experience. It doesn't mean that that's the situation.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean, but this is what I've experienced. This is what I've learned. Take it for what you will. That's the way I do it. I'm not here to sway anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. So I don't really see the need to give out unsolicited advice. I think that, if I want advice, I'll ask for it.
One last scenario, but no, hold on. Let that finish that thought.
Yeah.
Or no, I was going to say, or here's one. Here's one.
I got one too,
If you really want good advice in terms of you're struggling with relationships and this and that,
Read a book.
contact Bev at Securely
Oh, there
Love.
you go.
She does this.
Well,
There
no.
you go.
But here we go.
Thank
Here's my scenario, and
Thank
we
you.
can have Bev lead us out with this one.
Is she singing?
Maybe.
Oh, no,
Ooh.
you don't want that.
What?
No.
Want Alice to sing his Love Boat song.
Love boat.
Oh, that would be entertaining.
I don't know the rest of the words.
Soon we'll be making another run.
Okay.
What about the scenario of an intervention for someone who is about to get married and two of their friends disagree with it and want to sit them down and talk to them about it? Is that advice, or is that, them really trying to help? We'll lead out with that one.
Mm. So there's some interesting context there. I would think if the friends are concerned for their friends' safety, like physical, emotional safety.
Yeah, but let's say there's no domestic violence in it. It's just they just see that there probably isn't the right fit there in general.
So they see, what does that mean? They see their friend isn't happy because that is emotional safety. If they
Yeah.
can see that their friend isn't happy, then there's no emotional safety there.
Okay.
So I do think as a friend that you should intervene. But, again, the friends that I have in my life, we have an agreement that we speak authentically and honestly to each other. If you don't have that agreement with people and you just go, hey, I'm really not sure I like this guy you're about to marry. If they're not used to you being so honest with them, they might take that, as a hyper criticism and say, you know what,
Wait.
fuck you, I'm marrying him.
Al, my friends say we can't be together anymore.
Yeah, fuck them. This podcast continues. No, what I was going to say is, it can also backfire, I would think, too.
Yeah.
And here's where I say, if someone doesn't really want that advice,
Yeah.
might they go through with it even more, almost a passive aggressive thing to prove everyone wrong? Or conversely, they take the advice, right? They call it off, and then they're sitting in misery, and they're still blaming you for that as well. So either way,
Why didn't you fight harder to get me out of this? Yeah.
so I think sometimes, again,
better
if
just
if
to
someone's
not say
safety,
anything.
and I understand happiness, it's still emotional wellness, but we're talking about actual safety here, right? So we're not seeing any signs of abuse.
Yeah,
things like
that's a
that,
no-brainer.
right?
Yeah.
But- right. So what
Yeah.
I'm saying is, I think sometimes
You have to let people learn the hard way.
life lessons are the best teacher.
So I have to tell you, I did have a friend. This happened to me in life. A friend of mine married someone who I knew was wrong for her, and they got pregnant, then married, then divorced, all within 18 months. And the baby came out. It was like a whirlwind.
Yeah.
And I remember during the grieving process afterwards, she said to me, "Did you like so and so?" And I said, "No, I didn't." And she
Why
said,
didn't you
"Then
say
why didn't
anything?"
you tell me?"
Because you wouldn't have listened.
And I was like, my job was to support you. If you had concerns, you should have told me, and I would have been the first one to sit there and talk about it with you.
Yeah.
But my job wasn't to introduce concerns into your mind, right? I'm not with you behind closed doors. But yeah, that actually really did happen. Why didn't you say anything?
Right.
All right.
Well-
Well, that was a easy one to unload. I guess the whole consensus is no bad dating advice from anyone.
Just give yourself bad dating advice.
Yeah, just look in the
Yeah.
mirror, just talk to
Exactly.
yourself like I
Yeah.
always did. Yeah.
I think that works best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's definitely working for the two of you.
Well, thank you.
We
Yeah.
don't listen to each other ever, so yeah.
Did you say something?
Exactly.
Well, this was a fun night.
This
Thanks
was
for
a fun
having me.
night. Bev, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
Bev, thank you.
Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Before we wrap up, don't forget, show us that love. YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Instagram, the Kings of Chaos podcast, wherever the hell you get your social media. Till next time, take care.